Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cooking from Quarantine. Today we're going to be making beef barbacoa in our slow cooker. I don't use my slow cooker terribly often because I have so many great Le Creuset Dutch oven products, but everybody I know uses a slow cooker for basically everything, and it's a tool, no shame, it's a tool that's in the kitchen just like the microwave is, which I certainly use plenty. So I figured today let's make a recipe that everybody can do because it's slow cooker, you set it, you ignore it, and it's done, and it's fantastic. So today, to make our beef barbacoa, we're going to need our slow cooker, of course. We're going to need, if you have a cast iron skillet, that's what I'm going to be using. This is from Le Creuset. I obviously beat the crap out of this thing, and it's amazing, but any skillet you have is fine. Teflon won't work as well because we're trying to get a sear on the meat, but anything else will work beautifully. You'll need about 3 pounds of a chuck roast, or I had all of this brisket I still had to use that was in my freezer because Baldor Foods is amazing, and I got a 14-pound brisket from them, so I'm still working through it. This is I don't know, I eyeballed it, but it's probably about 4 pounds of beef. I have 6 chopped garlic cloves in here. I also have chipotles in adobo sauce, which you can buy canned from your grocery store. Chipotles in adobo sauce are really flavorful. Chipotles are a jalapeno pepper that have been dehydrated, smoked and dehydrated, and then rehydrated with tomato paste, paprika, onions, and shallots and some other really yummy flavors. It's sort of like Mexican sriracha. It's sort of like how sriracha is Asian ketchup. So it's all kind of the same thing, but this is like a spicy, gooey kind of thing. This is about 7 of the peppers that come in this can. I found this while I was shopping. I have no idea what it is because it's not something that I use. It's by Goya Riseto. It looks like it's like a base for cooking things, and even the ingredients are water, culantro, which I imagine is close to cilantro, but I don't know, green peppers, which is the reason that I bought it, dehydrated onions, starch, salt, garlic, citric acid, oregano. So it's just like a little mixture. It's sort of like a Mexican pesto. You don't have to use this at all. I just wanted green chilies, and this is what I found, so green chilies are fine. So that's what I have in this bowl. We're also going to need salt and pepper for our beef. Bay leaves, because I use bay leaves in freaking everything, but also because it's really good in this dish. I had beef broth in the back of my fridge, and so that's what I'm using. I'm using low sodium beef broth that expires tomorrow, so that's why we're using this. If you have chicken broth, use it. If you have vegetable broth, use it. Water, use it. It's fine. Apple cider vinegar. You can use a red wine vinegar. You can use a white vinegar, but I find apple cider vinegar, especially with flavors like this, is really delicious. We have limes that we're using. If you don't have fresh limes, don't use bottled lime juice. It really isn't the same. And again, no shade for kind of prepackaged ingredients, but that's one of those things that you really shouldn't fucks with. We have ground cumin. I had said recently that I have no idea what I have all of this ground cumin in the house for. I realized I have it for when I do Mexican style cooking, and I have it for some Greek cooking when I make kefta kebabs and things like that. I do use cumin for that. We're going to be using oregano, and I'm using ground allspice. If you have ground clove, use that. But anything that's in the clove family, love the smell of this. We're only using a little smidge, so honestly, if you want to skip it, you can, but it does add something interesting to the flavors. So first we're going to make our marinade, or the sauce that's going to go in the slow cooker with the beef. So we already have our chopped garlic, our chipotles in adobo sauce, and this crazy little green mixture that is our green chilies. Let's put the salt and pepper on the side until we need them. Okay, we're going to be using, let's shake this up, a cup of beef broth. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so 2 of these. Just all into the same bowl. Doesn't have to be fancy because it's going into the slow cooker, so it doesn't matter. Also, like, you're cooking for your family, and so they should be appreciative. So no, of course it doesn't matter that, like, things don't look perfect. So that's 1 cup of beef broth. Then, ooh, I didn't even open my apple cider vinegar yet. We're going to be using a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, if I could get it open. If I can't, we'll have to substitute it out. Here we go. Okay. We almost had a vinegar crisis. This is what happens. We cook at home. You know, there's no magic of television. None that I know how to do. So, okay. Apple cider vinegar. This is a 1/2 cup. And this is what's going to tenderize the meat over the course of the many, many, many hours that we're going to be cooking it. So some kind of vinegar is a step you cannot miss. Let's give this a light mix. Well, we don't have everything in here just yet. And the chilies, the chipotles and adobo are such an amazing red color. Really just makes the dish absolutely gorgeous. This we're going to put in at the end, so let's put these on hold. Okay, our cumin, we are using about 2 tablespoons of cumin. I used my tablespoons this morning when I was making pancakes, and so we're measuring by hand because they're in the dishwasher and I don't feel like washing them. So that's our cumin. We're going to be using 3 teaspoons, maybe 5 teaspoons of dried oregano. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's call that 5. It's a lot, but it's a lot of meat, so it's okay. And then we're using about a 1/2 teaspoon of our either ground allspice or ground clove, kind of whatever you've got. Honestly, even nutmeg would work in this. I know that they're not exactly the same, but like, it's cooking. Have a little fun, get experimental, get weird. Just get weird. Okay, we're gonna mix all of this up so that all the flavors start getting to know each other and getting happy. And then our limes, the trick with juicing citrus is that you just roll them on your counter under the weight of your palm, and then they're like a little bit easier to slice. So I'm using the juice of 2 limes. These limes are not particularly ripe, so we're just going to kind of do our best. Usually you can put a lime in the microwave for about 15 seconds, and that'll help with the juices a little, but these are kind of good enough. So that's juice of 1/2 a lime. And if you have pits in here, and I don't think you should, I don't think I've ever seen a lime pit. I think it's because limes are one of those hybrid citruses that don't actually exist in nature, so maybe they don't make pits. I don't know. I might not have that right. Next time, I'll research it. Okay, that's juice from 1 lime. And, you know, like, if you're having a little quarantine party, perfect thing to make with this, since you've already got the limes, and you're making barbacoa, which goes great inside a taco or on a taco salad. Make margs, yo. Like, just get out the tequila, make some fresh margs. You've got the lime going on. You've got chili peppers. Like, that's a kind of wonderful way to spend your quarantine. How are you spending your quarantine? Drunk? Most people are. Okay, so that's the juice of 2 limes. Stir, stir, stir. And now we have our marinade sitting here. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's meet over at the stove. meat over at the stove, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're gonna go sear our meat. See you there. Okay, so the first step in making our beef barbacoa is to turn a medium-high flame on underneath our cast iron skillet. The idea is that we're trying to get it like really very hot in order to start searing our beef. You can put, depending on what type of beef you bought, you can put a little coating of olive oil at the bottom of your pan. I'm not, because I'm using beef brisket, which is a very fatty cut of meat, so I'm just going to cook it kind of in its own flavors. So next to me, on the other side of my stove, I have my, just the inside, the drum of the slow cooker. So as I take things off the heat, I'm just going to plop them directly into the slow cooker so that they're ready to go, and just kind of sitting, waiting for me while everything else cooks, because we are going to start cooking these in batches so that we don't crowd our pan, because it's very important to get a very nice brown sear on all of the meat. That's what's going to make this dish taste like you slaved away cooking for hours and hours and hours, instead of like you seared it for 4 minutes and then put it in like a bath and let it cook. So here we go. We're going to do 1 piece of meat and 2 pieces of meat just straight into the pan naked, and we're going to season them kind of once they're in there and moving along. We're going to use kosher salt. I use kosher salt on everything. It's a much lighter flavor than, you know what, I poured out too much salt, so we will season what's in the plate. Yeah, it's a much lighter flavored salt than your regular iodinized table salt. It's just less sharp. It's like a softer flavor. I really love sea salt, but like sea salt is impossible to measure, and like who keeps sea salt in the house? I say that, but I have so many different kinds of salts in the house. So I went to Iceland 3 years ago. So I got Iceland salt, which is lava salt. I don't know. I got a smoked salt from Iceland that's really good. It's from like a fjord. I have these crazy salts from my in-laws that are like a bunch of different really good salts. I have, let's see, black truffles. Oh, this is sea salt in the house. So like, who keeps salt in the house? What crazy person keeps salt in the house that it's like not kosher salt and not table salt? Like, I guess the answer to that is this guy right here. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes and our meat is starting to get brown. I will show you what's going on in my pan. That's the color that you're looking for. That's what's going to make the meat taste so good, even though it's just been kind of sitting in a bath for most of the day. That beautiful kind of brown, golden brown color. It's really perfect. And so you're going to do this with each piece of meat. So I would say it's like roughly 4 minutes per side, depending on how big your pieces of meat are. And don't mess with your meat. Leave it alone. It's sitting in the pan. I'm not doing anything. I'm not like playing chef and trying to flip things over. I can't flip in a pan anyway. But like, this is not the moment to try. You want all of the meat to just like hang out, get nice and seared. You could press it like a little, but you don't want to press all the juices out of it, because the whole idea is that we're searing juices in. And you need a very hot pan in order to do this. So we're going to let these stay, again, like probably another 3 minutes or so, making sure it's seared on all sides, and put all of the pieces into the drum of our crock pot. So I'm going to let these cook, and I'll come back when we're pouring on our marinade. Okay, we are done searing all of our meat, which came out really beautiful and brown, and we just threw them in to our crock pot. All they have on them is salt and pepper so far. So we're going to take this beautiful marinade that we made, pour it all over the meat. We're going to mix the meat around in here, make sure that everything is coated, everybody has their little allotment of chilies on them. And again, we did not have to cook the meat all the way through because it's going to cook in our slow cooker for so long. We're just trying to get it nice and brown. So we're going to mix all of this together. We're going to throw in 4 bay leaves. Try to pick some good looking ones. We're not going to actually eat the bay leaves. They're only for flavor. They taste terrible. I'm not sure if it's that they're like poisonous to eat them or what the deal is, but like you don't want to eat them. Here, let's do, they're small, so we're doing 5 bay leaves, which is a lot of bay leaves for a dish. I'll show you what the inside of our crock pot now looks like. Those terrific chipotles, beautiful color sauce, everything kind of happy together. So it depends on how much time you have. That's how long we're going to cook all of this for. So I'd rather it be done sooner than later. And I don't love for meat to be like fall apart tender. I'd rather have it like you need to at least pull on it with a fork in order to eat it. So we're going to cover up our crock pot. If you're cooking it on low, you can cook it for 8 hours. I'm going to cook it on high, so I'm going to cook it on 5 and then check on it. 5 hours. So I'm going to cook on it for 5 and check on it. What I believe I will do, and I'll kind of like confirm this as I come back and see how it's cooking, I'm going to cook it for 5 hours, take the pieces out and shred them with 2 forks. Throw it all back in and let it cook like another 30 to 60 minutes just so that it absorbs all the really delicious juices. But I'll keep you posted on what we actually wind up doing. So I'll see you in a few hours. Okay, it's been 5 hours. About a half hour ago or so, we shredded our ground beef. Not ground beef, brisket. Oh, and this is looking absolutely awesome. I'll show all of you. All of those great chilies, this terrific red color, the bay leaves got all soft, and this meat looks so tender and amazing. But we got to give it a taste, right? Because it doesn't really matter what it looks like if it doesn't taste good. Okay, so let's see how we did here. Take a small piece. Oh my God. It's not overly spicy. Just like warm, hot heat. The lime flavor is so strong. This is gonna make bomb-ass tacos, you guys. The meat's super tender. And all of the flavors, the vinegar, even since it tenderized the meat so much, you can really taste the flavor. I think searing it was really the way to go in the beginning because it just gave the meat so much more flavor than if it had just kind of steamed in its own little marinade bath. So I'm going to be putting this in tacos, on salad, with rice, just eating this through the week. It is absolutely delicious. I don't think it would freeze particularly well, unless you have some kind of like vacuum seal situation. But this is an absolutely delicious dish, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cooking from Quarantine. Bye-bye.